You don't arrive in Paris. You are absorbed by it. The road narrows as you approach the city walls, and the noise reaches you before the buildings do. Wheels on stone, vendors shouting prices, church bells layering over one another like competing clocks. It's the early 1700s, and Paris is already awake, already negotiating with itself. You pass through a city gate where a uniformed guard barely glances at your face but studies what you carry. Carts ahead of you are being stopped, inspected, taxed. Barrels of wine, sacks of grain, bundles of firewood. Nothing enters this city without being counted. Inside the walls, the air changes. The smell is immediate. Wood smoke, horses, bread baking somewhere down a side street. And beneath it all, the river. The Seine is Paris's spine. You catch your first glimpse of it between buildings, wide and slow, crowded with flat-bottomed boats drifting downstream under heavy loads. Timber from upriver, stone for new buildings, flour for the bakeries that feed a city of hundreds of thousands. Paris doesn't run on machines, it runs on food, and food runs on the river. You follow the current east toward the markets. The streets tighten as you move. Buildings lean overhead, their upper floors nearly touching. Light filters down in thin, pale strips. Water runs along shallow channels in the middle of the road, carrying away waste when it can. A boy brushes past you with a basket of eels still writhing inside. A woman shouts from a window above, lowering a bucket on a rope. This is a city stacked on itself, and somewhere ahead you can hear it, the sound of bargaining. The markets don't wait for the sun to rise. You step into Les Halles as the sky is still gray. The air is thick with breath and steam. Carts roll in from every direction, unloading crates of vegetables, sides of meat, baskets of bread. This is where Paris eats. Fishmongers lay out their catch on beds of straw. Bakers stack loaves in rough pyramids. Butchers sharpen knives on leather straps, the sound soft but constant. Prices are not written, they are argued. A woman grips a chicken by the feet, turning it over, inspecting it like a piece of machinery. The seller names a price. She scoffs. They go back and forth, their voices rising, drawing a small crowd. This is not just shopping, this is survival. Bread is everything here. When bread is cheap, the city is calm. When bread is expensive, Paris becomes dangerous. A clerk nearby is writing numbers into a ledger, tracking deliveries for a nearby convent. Even charity runs on accounting. And above all of this, unseen but present, is the crown. Because the king does not rule Paris from the streets, he rules it through supply. If the markets fail, the city doesn't riot at the palace first, it riots here. You move on, following a street that bends toward the river again. And now you start to notice the uniforms. Men in dark coats, tricorn hats, wooden batons at their sides. This is policing before police. They are not everywhere. They don't patrol. They appear. A pair of them stands at a corner, watching a dice game forming in the shadows of a tavern doorway. They don't intervene. Not yet. They wait to see who joins, who loses, who starts shouting. Order in this city is reactive, not constant. You pass a notice nailed to a wall, a printed sheet warning about theft near the bridges, another about a runaway apprentice. Information doesn't travel fast here. It sticks to walls. It passes by mouth. It drifts through taverns and churches and markets, changing shape as it goes. Ahead, the river opens up, and with it, the bridges. Pont Neuf is crowded, as always. Shops line its edges. Street performers draw small rings of onlookers. A man with a trained dog is shouting jokes about the king, just quietly enough to be funny, not loud enough to be arrested. This is where Paris talks back. The palace is west, the crowd is here, and you are standing between them. Because this city is not ruled by one system, it is balanced between two. Power at the top, life at street level. And everything you're about to walk through exists in the space between. You turn away from the river and head deeper into the city, toward the neighborhoods where authority fades and reputation takes over, and where the real Paris starts to show itself. The deeper you walk into Paris, the less the king feels present. The streets narrow again, bending away from the wide avenues near the river into a maze of lanes where sunlight barely reaches the ground. Laundry hangs overhead like low clouds. The sound of the market fades, replaced by voices behind doors, the scrape of chairs on stone floors, the soft hum of private life pressed up against public space. This is where reputation matters more than law. A tavern door swings open and a wave of warmth and smoke spills into the street. Inside, men crowd around rough tables, tankards in hand. Dice roll across wood. Someone laughs too loudly. Someone else doesn't laugh at all. This is where news becomes rumor. A man leans toward his neighbor and whispers about a baker who's been caught cutting flour with sawdust. Another swears the police are about to raid a brothel 2 streets over. A third claims the king's ministers are raising grain prices on purpose. No one knows what's true, but everyone knows what feels true. Outside, a watchman walks past, lantern swinging from a hook on his staff. His light doesn't banish the darkness, it punctures it. He is not a soldier, he is not a detective, he is a reminder. Most of the time, his job is not to stop crime, it's to be seen. You follow him for a moment, keeping your distance. He pauses at a corner, listening. Somewhere nearby, a window closes quickly. A laugh cuts off mid-sentence. Paris doesn't sleep. It watches itself. And sometimes, it turns on itself. You pass a narrow alley where 2 boys are arguing over a dropped coin. Their voices rise. A small crowd forms instantly, as if summoned by sound alone. Someone shouts advice. Someone else places a bet on who will swing first. Then, just as quickly, the crowd dissolves when another uniform appears at the far end of the street. Authority here is not constant. It arrives in bursts. The city learns to flow around it. You move on, crossing into a district where workshops replace taverns. The smell changes again. Leather, glue, hot metal. A blacksmith's hammer rings out in steady rhythm, a sound older than the buildings around it. Through an open door, you see an apprentice turning a spit over a small furnace. He glances up as you pass, then back to his work. No one stops you. No one asks who you are. In Paris, anonymity is a kind of freedom and a kind of risk. You reach a small square where a crowd has gathered around a raised platform. A man stands on it, reading from a paper. His voice is loud, practiced. A royal notice. New rules about grain storage, new penalties for hoarding, the king's seal stamped at the bottom in dark ink. Some people listen, some turn away. One woman mutters that rules don't fill empty stomachs. This is how royal power travels here, not by command, by paper. And paper moves as fast as people carry it. You notice another layer now, the informants. They don't wear uniforms, they look like everyone else. A man leaning in a doorway too still, a woman who asks too many questions at the bread stall. Paris is full of eyes. The Lieutenant General of Police reports directly to the Crown. His network spreads through taverns, markets, workshops, and churches, not to keep the city safe, to keep it predictable. You pass a church where candles flicker behind stained glass. Inside, people kneel in silence. Outside, a peddler sells cheap pamphlets with crude illustrations of crimes and scandals. Faith and gossip, both travel faster than law. You walk toward the river again, drawn by the sound of water and the promise of space. As you emerge onto a quay, the city opens up for a moment. Boats are tied along the edge, their decks cluttered with barrels and nets. Men unload cargo by hand, forming human chains from boat to shore. A foreman shouts numbers, keeping count. This is control in its simplest form. Not rules, not paper, but counting. You lean against the stone railing and watch the flow. Goods in, waste out. People crossing, always crossing. Paris feels stable from a distance. From up here, it looks like it's working. But down in the streets, you felt the tension. Bread prices, rumors, uneven authority. A city balanced on habits and hunger. You turn back into the maze one more time, heading toward a part of Paris that tries to bring order to all of this, not through force, but through spectacle. Because in this city, power doesn't just rule, it performs. You feel the shift before you see it. The streets widen, the buildings straighten, the noise changes from argument to procession. You are moving west now, away from the tight, folded neighborhoods and towards spaces designed to be seen. This is where Paris performs. Carriages roll past in slow, deliberate lines. Their wheels are cleaner here. Their drivers wear better coats. Pedestrians step aside without being asked. Authority doesn't shout in this part of the city. It glides. You stop near a bakery where a line has already formed, stretching down the street. People stand quietly, watching the door. The baker appears, counts the loaves, and announces the price. A murmur passes through the line like a small wind. No one cheers, no one argues. They do the math in their heads. A woman at the front of the line breaks a loaf in half, handing a piece to a child at her side. The crust cracks loudly in the quiet. Bread is still the system beneath every other system. Above it all, far beyond the rooftops and gardens, is Versailles. You don't walk there, you hear about it. Stories move faster than carriages. Gold halls, endless mirrors, dinners that last longer than a workday.